Dune Awakening's player base has fallen off a freaking cliff. But for the first time, we finally have seen an uptick, and that is thanks to a massive new patch. The problem with this new patch is that now on Arrakis, there are more bugs than in Starship Troopers. But in true fashion, the devs have finally broken their silence, and the roadmap ahead is packed with long requested features, cargo containers, PvP rework, instant loot, and so much more. The game's future suddenly looks very different, and today we're going to be breaking it all down. Let's get into it. The Dune Awakening's dev roadmap can be broken down into 4 sections to make it a bit easier to digest and explain. The great news is we can expect monthly patches, fixes, improvements. The most important thing is that just like what they've been doing, they're going to listen to our feedback, address bugs and cheats, reproduce them internally, do all the fixing and good stuff, and apparently they're going to push it to the community test environment for us to have a play around with, tweak and fix if needed, and then they will push it live. And this is happening on a monthly basis, at least for now. Great to see, and we can definitely say they are listening to a lot of the feedback the community has, as we've seen so many of these changes pushed that have come directly from the outcry and suggestions that people have put down, excluding the change to the flower sand and the primrose, which takes us onto section 2. Now this is going to be pretty freaking amazing, as this is all coming in September, so just around the corner. Now we've split it into 3 things because it really is 3 huge changes. First off, we have the free update, which continues the main storyline. So that means new quests and a continuation along with character recustomization. This will allow you to recustomize your created character to your heart's content wherever you're up to within the game. The big one for us in the free zone is dynamic encounters. Could you imagine having NPCs running around in buggies or ornithopters in Haga Basin where you could have encounters? I don't think it's going to be like that. Probably something much simpler. When we find out more details, we will cover this, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what they come up with for the dynamic encounters. Included in the new updates are more contracts, new deep desert layouts to mix things up a little bit. We don't have too much more info on that. The archetype armors, very interesting. At the moment, we only have still suit, heavy, light, etc. So I'm hoping with the new archetype of armor, we would also get new schematics and uniques, but judging by the wording, it's a little hard to understand. Also, new hairstyles and tattoos. So that's what's included in the free update coming in September, but there's a lot more in this free update, which ties directly to the quality of life improvements and changes that will be coming. So we'll zoom over to here first, as that is included in the free update, or just the normal patch that you'll be getting. Many of these should have been in the game from the get-go. But anyway, in September after this patch, we'll be able to rename vehicles, storage containers, and other placeables to really help us understand who's parked where, what needs to go in which container, and all those nice quality of life improvements around the chaotic nature of having guild bases and tons of storage devices. Improved ornithopter rockets for combat. This one is going to be a big change to the aerial dynamics of combat within Dune Awakening, as at the moment there's so many desyncs, rubber banding, hit register issues, there's just so many problems. So overall they'll be aiming to try fix a lot of those issues. Hopefully also perhaps mess around with the projectile itself, how fast it moves, how it works. Be very interesting to watch this space. This is going to be huge for the PvE players, or solos I should say, more so. Hot seat swapping hotkey for vehicles. This will be big. Now we'll just be able to press one button, go straight to the buggy cutter array, press another button, come straight back to the driver's seat, continue on our merry way. This next change is perfect for guilds, as it's going to expand player logs to track who takes items from chests. There's been so many scenarios in post on Reddit of people getting stuff stolen, and there's a good chunk of that probably just from guild members stealing stuff. This will help keep very accurate log of who is accessing what. It's yet to be seen how chaotic this will be. How long will we have access to these logs, etc. This is another interesting system that they're going to try implement, which is the vehicle salvage system for recovering lost vehicles. Large chunk of this will be when your vehicle falls through the floor or clips into various objects where you can't recover it. Traveling deep desert where you instantly teleport to the quicksand and your ornithopter is gone, or land somewhere and you can't retrieve it, should hopefully be covered by the new insurance scheme of the salvage system for lost vehicles. My guess it'll be similar to a reporting system, but again, how would you verify some of this? Another interesting system, could be quite complex depending on what they're trying to do here. This next one is a true triumph for the community, and thanks to that legend who has been posting nearly daily to get the cobalt paste volume decreased, not increased, decreased, so we can carry a lot more of it. We don't know what it will actually be, but it's going to be a much more manageable weight. Thankfully, they've listened to that. That was very painful. The biggest one for me are going to be these two here. These are huge for the overall game's longevity, and this is the Carrier Ornithopter cargo container. We mentioned this before, but they have listened. Those designs we saw throw up the images of where the cargo container was going to fit within the game is now coming. That is in September. We should hopefully be able to carry this container from Haga Basin to the Deep Desert and vice versa. Otherwise, there is no point for introducing this. So, Funcom, if you're listening, please make sure this is a container we can travel between all the regions. Otherwise, it makes no sense. Cargo container should have way more capacity, or as much capacity as at least the harvester, and a ton more slots. Ultimately, I really think the aim should be just one trip with the cargo to set up your whole base, and perhaps a couple trips to get all the good stuff out. So we're not spending hours upon hours upon hours getting in and out of Deep Desert, just doing logistics. Allow us more time to just get into the actual PvP and content of the Deep Desert. The other big thing that they're fixing is the loot within the Deep Desert, particularly for the testing stations. I don't really think the crashed ships need to change. Good luck camping those. If there's something good, you will get jump bashed if you're AFKing those zones. However, the testing station, you would spend hour, if not longer, as a solo or a group, depending on your levels, where you're at, come to the loot room and it would be empty. Even though when you went in there, you could see that the chest had stuff in it. The animation indicated so. Someone's logged in, grabbed all the stuff from the chest and logged out before you could get to that room. No longer will that be the case. The loot is now going to be instant to the player. So everyone should get loot and be rewarded for clearing the testing station. This is going to be a big, awesome change. I still think they should keep the best loot in some of those crashed ships, but this will be a nice change for many players. Another bizarre thing they're going to try to do is the offline notification system, where we should receive emails keeping us up to date of how our base is performing in terms of taxes and powers. Do we need to pay tax? How long has our base got for power? We don't know if this is going to be a weekly or just one notification before it happens. We'll find out more soon, but they are going to be implementing a notification system to help prevent people losing their bases due to taxes and power. Now, ultimately, they'll probably change this system at some point to be more flexible, but we'll wait and see. Many people have wanted taxes to come out of our account, power to be longer in the higher tier, the spice power generator, etc. But there you have it. Without spending any extra money, you're going to be getting a nice amount of new content, some of the best quality of life changes that we'll probably ever see other than the Endgame rework. Moving on to the DLC. If you had purchased the Deluxe Edition or the Ultimate Edition, you have the Season Pass, which includes 4 DLCs. Technically, we've already received one, which was meh. But in September, we get the Lost Harvest DLC. This includes a new vehicle, which I'm very skeptical. What I think they mean when they say a new vehicle is that they just mean similar to the Desert Sandbike variant. It's just going to be a variant. However, I'm really hoping that this is the tank, because the tank has been promised for quite some time and we really have not heard or seen it, but I'm very skeptical and doubt that's the case. As I've mentioned many times that there's no pay to win, getting access to a tank via a paid DLC would do exactly that. So just expect a new variant to the buggy Ornithopter, something lame like that. That's what I'm expecting. However, there will be a ton of new contracts with unique locations. The reward will probably just be Solari and other existing items. However, there will be new building pieces and decorations. I was hoping for a new building set, but it just says pieces. So probably not going to be a great deal there. Probably similar to some of the other new decorations and stuff we've seen. New armor and weapon skins only. They really need to up their game on the skin and armor weapons. They look pretty average. They could be so much cooler, but that's just me. Along with that will be new swatches and emotes. Now, if you haven't purchased the DLC, you're probably wondering how much would that be if I wanted to buy it now? Well, unfortunately, we don't have an exact price, at least not that I'm aware of, but I'm guessing it's going to be anywhere between $10 to $20 for the DLC to buy it by itself, but we'll have to watch this space. But as you can see, September is just going to be absolutely mind-blowing. So if you're looking to come back to June, it is going to be in September. You have the new free update, tons of quality of life improvements, and if you purchase the DLC, you'll have new story content, a few other decorations and skins. And honestly, this is the good news that we need for Dune Awakening right now, is there's been so many problems and issues with this game. But one thing we can say for sure is that they're definitely listening, and we're going to get some good changes coming very, very soon. So this brings us to the next section 3, which is going to be what happens early to mid next year. We're not going to go too much in detail about this. So a lot of it's just going to be hoo-ha and everyone's best guess. But we do have a little bit more information on the revamp of the Endgame, which will come too soon. We'll also get the DLC Raiders of the Broken Land. This is just going to be pretty much cosmetics again. Chapter 4, we don't have much info. Then we get the Water Wars DLC. Perhaps this is where we would get the new faction, but we don't have much info on this other than the water shippers family are at war. We're fighting for control over the polar caps of Arrakis. We know on the world map this will be a new location to travel to, so we'll be able to experience a whole new sort of environment and aspect to Arrakis that we've never encountered before. That should be quite a big change. The Water Wars DLC. Now, by far, some of the main things that we need to have happened in Dune Awakening, other than the container, and that is the Landsraad Endgame Overhaul. They got some really interesting things coming in this space, and that is sort of projected for the first half of 2026. But we're going to have the faction progression, which will be tied directly into the Landsraad, which is going to be delivered to us by contract-based activities, as well as some of these new activities that are happening or are sort of planned to come. Now, these are very watch, wait and see, because they'll probably change, but these are just some of the ideas that they're throwing out there. Assassinations, hopefully that's a player assassination, but I highly doubt it. It will be an NPC that you'll need to go and kill. So a boss, probably treasure maps, perhaps using the scanner to uncover treasure, or compactor, I should say. Races, this one will be freaking interesting. Love to see something like that. Maybe on the world map, you would queue into a race. Construction challenges, that would be very cool for builders. That'd be something, I don't know if I've seen anything like that in any other game. Duels, this is got to happen. Duels, an arena, somewhere we can travel on the world map and queue into like a 1v1, 2v2, or some sort of system where we can do duels would be huge. Faction versus faction maps, another pretty game-changing idea that could be coming. At least I hope they try test it out. Because one, that would also make it a lot easier to make friends, the camaraderie, to really play into the whole Atreides versus Harkonnen aspect of the game, improve control points, but obviously maybe the timing, how big they are, the benefits, a lot could be improved around control points, scavenger hunts, pretty much an extended fetch quest, but something to mix it up, temporary crafting challenges. I still hope they keep some of the resource drain included in the Landsraad, but just a lot less. And again, this will be expanding the overland map. The Landsraad in the endgame as we know it is going to completely change in 2026. Now, some of these points are going to probably upset some people, but this is what I'm really excited for. The return to the original vision of PvP sandbox for spice control. Now, I'm one of the few that really enjoyed the original Deep Desert. It was a brutal, scary place. Every second you're on there felt invigorating because you had to watch and be careful at all times. Now it's become a bit of a playground, but that's just me. Ultimately, they are going to be sort of trying to turn back one version of the Deep Desert to a PvP sandbox. Now, with some of these changes that they've mentioned, particularly with expanding the overland map, things like duels, faction maps, there is a good chance that down the track we may get some sort of PvP area and PvP Deep Desert. So maybe two different versions. And to make that even freaking cooler is no fly zones for enforced ground combat. I really hope we get more of that because hopefully by then we'll have a tank and really get to muck around with the buggy and its rocket launchers, more weapons, things to attach, along with more diverse layouts of those maps. So there's a lot of creativity and things coming, better stability and performance, which is a must. Now beyond 2026 or sort of the tail end of 2026, there'll be more expansions. That's more slated for 2027, but the console release is scheduled for 2026. Be later in the year for sure, but we'll see what happens, and then more free updates and DLCs. But the main takeaway is the first half of 2026, Landsraad is going to be completely reworked. Some of these things are very much going to be trial and error, and we do know that Funcom is basically doing a lot of these ideas and changes based on the community's feedback. So I do recommend, if you are in a guild or you play this game a lot, definitely make some good suggestions. They will probably listen if there are enough people making similar suggestions. But this roadmap is pretty damn big. Basically, by the end of 2026, we will have a different Dune Awakening completely. But let me know what you think. There's a lot to digest, a lot to come. September is going to be freaking off the chart. It's a good time to get back and get into the grind of Dune Awakening if you want to hit September a bit ahead of others. But at the same time, it could be worth just waiting to get that storage container for the carriers, so it makes it much nicer and simpler to get all that good stuff out of the deep desert. But thanks very much for watching. If you did get anything out of this, consider liking and subscribing. It goes a really long way. Hopefully this was helpful. Spent a lot of time just getting this bit more collected than just reading some shit out, so I hope you appreciate it. Thanks very much. Peace.